Yesterday, the provincial government announced the minimum wage will be raised in Saskatchewan to $15 an hour in 2024. But several provinces and territories in our country already guarantee that or more. What did it take to get there, and how did it impact the lowest earners? Joining me now is Sheila Block, a senior economist with the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives in Toronto. Sheila, thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
So how significant is it for workers to just know that the minimum wage will be increasing over the next 2.5 years?
I think an increase in the minimum wage is significant, not only for minimum wage workers, but also for those who are making just a little bit above the minimum wage. Because a lot of those people who are making just above and are still low income workers, their wages are very connected to the minimum wage. So it's a huge impact, but looking out over a 2-year time horizon when there's so much catch up that needs to be done from Saskatchewan is, really, I could characterize this as a little bit too little and definitely too late.
Can you tell me, we hear this term a lot, what is a living wage and how much would it vary across Canada?
So the idea of a living wage is something that allows you not only to put food on the table, but has some components where it lets you participate in society, right? So you want to be able to take your kid to a birthday party. You maybe want to be able to go on a week's vacation, have an internet connection so that you can engage in social media. So that's the idea of a living wage. And living wages are dependent on two factors. One of which is how much things cost. For example, housing costs in Toronto, where I live, are going to be higher than they are in Regina. That'll have an impact. But a really important impact is what government provides. So if you have, affordable childcare, then the costs of a living wage decrease. If you have access to, good recreation programs that are free, that has an impact on a living wage as well.
That said, on the other side of the coin, how does this impact business, particularly after a pandemic?
Well, I think we've seen a number of factors come into play here. And what we've seen, both from a wide range of both the academic literature and just our experience across Canada, is that the business lobby consistently says that an increase in the minimum wage will be bad for low wage workers. That'll either decrease employment or decrease incomes. And what we've seen and what we saw in Ontario, where we had a really big increase, almost 20% increase in the minimum wage from kind of December 31st to January 1st, what we saw was, an increase in employment, a decrease in the unemployment rate. But what we also saw was faster increase in low wage workers' earnings than in those higher wage workers and then in the average. And we also saw that the gap was reduced for women and in particular for racialized women. So, this kind of a policy is just all around a win-win-win kind of policy.
Sheila, how can we as consumers expect this to impact the cost of goods and services as those wages start increasing?
So there are a bunch of factors that are affecting prices at this moment. So what we're seeing is the minimum wage increase, in particular, the one in Saskatchewan, shouldn't have a big impact on prices. And I think what we have to really come back to is for those workers who are at minimum wage or making or making a little bit more than minimum wage, what this increase will do will be to make those essentials a little bit more affordable for them.
Sheila, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks so much for having me.